Think financial freedom is a distant dream? It's closer than you think. The secret lies in the simple but powerful concept, following the money trail. Welcome to Dollars and Dreams, the podcast designed to empower you to take control of your personal and business finance. You know, the very thought of money and finance can often send chills down your spine and stir up fear of the unknown. But let's change that narrative together. Through this podcast, my goal is to not only to provide you with useful information, but also to inspire and motivate you to take action towards your own financial goals. Let's rewrite your money story together. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Dollars and Dreams. Hopefully I haven't confused you because you're listening to this podcast on a Thursday, and normally I would drop a podcast on a Wednesday, but we've had a little bit of a change in our formatting. So on Tuesday, I announced in the podcast there that we're going to split our podcast. So on a Tuesday, we're going to do podcasts that are all business-related discussion points, so things around how to be better at your business, how to create business plans, how to grow your business, and everything that you need to know about running a business. On a Thursday, we're going to drop podcasts that are around personal finance matters and things like how to pay off your debt, how to build wealth, how to save, how to change your money mindset, and all of those things. That's all personal related. And it came about because we were contacted by a few people that said, love your podcast, but I never know whether to listen because sometimes it's business related, other times it's what I'm interested in, which is your personal finance stuff. And then we had other people that said, I'm not really interested in how to build my future wealth. I'm here for the business information. So we decided what we would do is on Tuesdays we'll drop a podcast around business, and on Thursday we'll drop podcast around personal finance things. So take your pick if you want to listen to both. I'd love that. And of course, if you have anything that you'd like us to talk about or you need help with anything, reach out to us here because we're always looking for topics that we can cover in our podcast. My mission is to educate as many people as I can in financial literacy and how to grow their wealth. So if you've got anything that you have that you want answers to, please reach out to me here and I would love to cover those for you. So in today's episode, we're going to dive into a fundamental truth that can really transform your relationship with money, and it's understanding where it goes. So I want to talk about the power of following what I call following the money trail. And it is the thing that we find most people struggle with. They're always looking for the answer without following and finding out what the issues are. And I don't say that the spending of money is an issue because we all have to spend money, but it's having the control over how much money you're spending and what changes you can put in place so that it doesn't impact the type of life that you have. I was only contacted by a client today that said, I want to pull some money out of my super because we're just living week to week. And, we can't pay our bills. We don't know what we're going to do. We think we might have to sell the house. And so I did a little bit of digging with them, and the amount of money that they were spending on takeaway food, so buying their lunches, eating out, takeaway food, I said to them when we had a bit of a look that all we need to do is halve that, and all of a sudden you're not living week to week. I won't say how much it was, but it was reasonably significant. When you buy your lunch every day, not too many people can buy their lunch under $10. So there was a couple. So just the buying of their lunches 5 days a week, we were looking at, it was close to $100, $120 just in lunches. So when we started looking at where the money was going, we found a quick solution that we could put in place. Now, $120 a week, probably for some people you go, that's not going to save me from the issues that I've got, because I still got to buy lunch, middle making it home and taking it. They'll be able to make their lunches for the two of them probably in $20. So all of a sudden, they've found $100 a week. Now that's $5,200 in a year. And there was other things that they had. But it was because we followed where the money was going that gave us the knowledge to know where to put some changes in place. And following the money trail, seeing where money goes, gives you the control, and it gives you the feeling of empowerment over your money, because taking control of your finances, building your wealth, and achieving your financial goals is how you deal with money. There is no magic wand. There is no silver bullet. It is about you making changes to have less going out of your family's wealth and more into growing your family's wealth. And, every time I talk about the money trail, it's really interesting because for me, it's an obvious thing. It's not about how much money you spend. It's about how you spend it. And it always reminds me of the movie Jerry Maguire. And I'm sure you've all seen it. And it's one that, I'm not good at mimicking voices, so I'm not going to try to take on Jerry Maguire or Tom Cruise's voice. But Tom Cruise was the actor, for those of you who don't know, in Jerry Maguire. And he was a sports management consultant. And he would just, I don't know, I can't remember if he was sacked or he quit his job, but he was going out on his own. So he ran into the office and was trying to contact all these people to get them to be his first client in his new business. And he thought that all these people that he was trying to get to come over with him was all about, the management style and things like that. And it came down to it that it was actually money, because the first guy that he rang, his name was Rod. I can't remember what his last name was in the show, but Jerry Maguire's there and he's explaining passionately what his vision is, and he could really sense that Rod was doubting what he was saying. And so he knew that Rod had some anxieties around money and finance, like so many of us have. And he knew that following Jerry Maguire to his new agency was probably a little bit of a risk in whether he would continue with that money. So Tom Cruise, or Jerry Maguire, knew that that was his issue. So he decided to fuel Rod's belief and frustration, and he started chanting, "Show me the money." And initially, he said it quite quietly, and Rod, the prospective guy that he was going to bring on to his management company, sensed that, and he's going, "Louder, Jerry, louder." And so he just keeps chanting it and channeling everything to this guy and going, "Show me the money, show me the money." And then he's yelling it and yelling it. And Rod decides to come across with him. Now, it's got nothing really to do with what I'm talking about today, except that, this guy was probably on lots of money, and I know it's a fictional character, but there's plenty of these guys in the world anyway. He had anxiety about money and finance, and it just goes to show that it doesn't matter where you are in life. This can be an anxiety that we all have. But what I always have that in my head when I talk to clients, and as I said, the first thing I always say to them is, let's follow the money. Let's see where the money's gone. And by doing that, you can work out where you can make changes. And I always say to everybody that I work with, it's not about, we hear it all the time, don't we? Let's get rid of the coffees. Let's get rid of the lunches. Let's get rid of, yada, yada. Everybody's story is different. You need to find ways that don't impact your life. And one of the things that we hear all the time is, get rid of your subscriptions. Nobody needs every subscription service, yada, yada. But if you're the type of person, that maybe has anxieties about leaving home and spends a lot of time within your own home, getting rid of those subscription services could be the straw that broke the camel's back. It can be your lifesaver, being able to have something to do. So if I took a blanket approach and said to everybody, one subscription service is all you can have. That person that feels trapped or confined in their home because they have anxiety with leaving home, or they may be a carer for a relative that's bedbound and so they have to stay home. There are reasons that people don't leave their home, and it's not always something under their control. So if I used the blanket statement to them and said, get rid of all subscriptions and you can only have one, they're not going to look at that and go, that's great advice for me. So following the money for them is not about getting rid of that subscription service. It's about looking at something else. Now, it can be that you might want to reduce your subscription services. And, one of the things that I say to people is there's nothing wrong with subscription services. It's the old hire a DVD or a video to watch. And let's face it, free-to-air TV is not the greatest. So there's nothing wrong with having the subscription service. But sometimes it might be, I'll only have 2 of them. I might binge watch, because let's face it, we all binge watch because it just keeps rolling. And binge watch what you want on those ones, cancel that subscription and get another one. So it's about following the money but making it suit for you. So when we sit with people and we say, follow the money, let's see where it goes. You can then look at where your money actually does go. And I will say to people sometimes, how much do you spend on groceries? And they'll say, I don't know, $200 to $300 a week. When we follow the money, they might be spending $400 a week or $350. Rarely does anybody's estimate of those costs amount to what they're actually spending. And it's really ironic, because when we talk to people about things that they spend that they get themselves, it's always understated. When we talk to them about how much they're spending on utilities, so things like electricity, telephone, insurances, it's always overstated because it's a pain point. So we underestimate the things that we get pleasure from, and we overestimate things that we get pain from. But that doesn't help you in making changes. So it's important that you track your spending. And if you don't have a way of doing that, and it does seem complex for some people, reach out to me here, because we've got a Show Me the Money dashboard. And it's quite ironic that I always say, follow the money. And then I have a dashboard called Show Me the Money. So the dashboard will look at all your spending. So you enter everything that you spend, and you can track where your money is going. And it's not about saying what you've done is wrong, because what's right for me is not right for somebody else, and vice versa. But what it does is it gives you how much you're spending on certain things. So on your household goods or on your utilities or whatever it is. That then gives you the knowledge to make changes. And knowledge is power, as you know, I always say. But once you know where you're spending your money, you can then put things in place. Now, we had a discussion here the other day with a client that we had worked with, and we got them to do this, tracking your money and seeing where it's all going. And it was really quite ironic and eye-opening for them in particular. The lady was spending $3,600 a year on magazines. Now, she had no idea that she was spending that. So they were just going into retirement, and we were looking at their spending. So we worked out how much we needed for them for their pension payments out of superannuation. But she just said, I just had no idea. I was, $3,600 a year in magazines. And she said, most of them I was only buying to do the crossword. It's just that I love doing crosswords. And she was buying magazines and newspapers. And she said, I wasn't even really reading them. But she just had no idea that that's where she was spending money. So that was a quick fix for her. She said, I actually don't need to do that. And we said to her, you've got an iPad. There's apps you can get that's got crosswords in it. There's, you go and buy a whole book of crosswords. It'll last you a month. So we found a solution because we followed the money and worked out where it was going. That was an easy fix for them. It's not always an easy fix for everyone. I'm not going to be one of those people that sits here and says, it's easy, just make changes and, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine, but sometimes it's not as easy as other people will make out. And I always say this too, I signed up to do another course last week because I'm a habitual course taker. I love educating myself. But I said to the girl when I was talking to her, what is your success rate if I follow this? And that was important to me because that was making a decision. Was I throwing money out the window if I didn't get a great success from doing this course? For me, doing that course was about giving me a greater ability to do something else. And it was interesting because the couple that I talked about to start off with, when we were talking to them, we said, look, get control of your money. There's ways around this. And she actually said to me, oh, I bought your course a year ago, but I've never done it. Buying a course doesn't make the changes. And we were talking about that in the office, that is so many of us want to fix things, but we don't want to take the action to fix it. And so when you follow the money to find out where you're spending it, it's no point doing that exercise if you're not going to do anything about changing it. So the Show Me the Money dashboard will give you a printout at the end of the month. It's all very beautiful. It's graphs and everything. Shows you which days of the week you spend the most, which part of your total spending was in categories and how much that percentage was. But what that is designed to do is to challenge yourself to actually be better, make some changes and put some things in place so that you can improve. But finding out where you're spending is not the answer. The answer is to make the change. And as I said, we have that discussion quite regularly in this office. And the other day we were talking about it. And I was saying that I was really cranky because I've run out of nappy sand. When I wash my clothes, I always throw a scoop of nappy sand in. And I ran out because I thought the jar at the back of the cupboard was a full one, because normally you pull all the ones you're using and put the full ones at the back. Someone in my family had decided to open a new one, and so the one at the back had 2 scoops left in it. And I was saying at lunchtime that I was really cranky because I jumped on to do my shopping order, because I do click and collect. If you've listened to anything I say, you should always do your grocery shopping online. So I jumped on, and of course it wasn't on special, and I never buy any non-perishable stuff if it's not on special. So I was lamenting that I'd missed the boat and I was going to go against whatever it is I normally do. And so one of the girls in the office, shops at a different grocery chain to me. And so she jumped onto her online shopping app and she went, Coles has got it on special. So I'm a Woolworths shopper. I don't think it's any issue saying where we shop. I'm a Woolworths shopper. She's a Coles shopper. And it was half price at Coles. So I put my click and collect shopping in, and before I went and picked it up, I raced into Coles and grabbed my nappy sand at half price. And the world was restored for me, because I just don't cope with having to pay full price for those sorts of things. And so I got to stick to my spending habits that I like to do, because that was actually quite stressful for me, that I was going to buy something that I don't like buying and it was going to cost me full price. So I managed to stick to my key of never paying full price for non-perishable items. So the key there was that I knew what I needed to do. So I made a change, and it would have been easy, and a lot of people, including probably my husband, which is why I don't let him do the grocery shopping, he probably would have said, I'm not wasting time. Coles is at the other end of the same floor in the shopping centre that I pick up my groceries from. So it was no big deal to just swing down there and grab my nappy sand. But what I do also to make sure that I actually don't go down any other aisles, as I was going into the shopping centre, I clicked on my app to say I was at the collection point. Now, I knew I'd ordered frozen goods, so if I was wandering up and down the Coles aisle looking for other things, my frozen goods would have started to melt. So that was the way that I made sure that I stuck to race into Coles, grab the nappy sand, race out, get back down to the other end of the shopping centre to pick up my click and collect before my ice cream melted. So I found a strategy to stop me spending, because I probably would have picked up that Tim Tams, that were half price at Coles. I didn't need Tim Tams. I'd used my spending budget for my groceries this week. So had I stopped and bought those Tim Tams, even though they were half price, I would have spent more than what I'd allowed for my shopping. The key to doing a budget is to stick to it. And so I made sure that I didn't buy anything else except for my nappy sand. So once you know where you're spending, and of course you've followed the money trail, the idea then is you take control of your money. And if you haven't ever looked at my 6 bank account system that I talk about, that's how I get control of my spending. So I automatically, as soon as my income comes into my bank account, I transfer money to, for me, it's my superannuation and paying off my home loan is my long-term savings. I also have a short-term savings at the moment. I need a new kitchen in my house desperately. The oven, we have to watch it all the time now because the element doesn't always click off, and we've had a few meals been charcoal by the time we go and get them out the oven. So I'm saving desperately for a new kitchen. I have my luxuries, which is, for me, I'm a sewer, so I love to buy material, and I've got probably enough material, as my mother says, to last me till I turn 300. But that's my little luxury, and so I love to put money aside every time for that. But by doing that, I know that I've got the money aside, and that's all I can spend. I also like to keep money. We have with our circle of friends, our kids are all grown up. So we've gone back to having nights out. So, every 5 or 6 weeks we go out for dinner. There's probably, I think there's 6 couples that do it. So we just have a night out, and I make sure that I put money aside so that when our 5 or 6 weeks comes around, I've got the money aside to have our night out. But by putting it into the 6 bank accounts, and as I said, if you haven't looked at our 6 bank accounts, jump on and have a look at those, because they are the lifesaver. They are the thing that will always keep your money under control so that you don't overspend. So once I have the money there, I have money that I know that I'm working towards my goals. I know that I'm building my net wealth through my superannuation, but also I put money aside to invest regularly. I don't try to buy shares in a big bulk or do any investments in big bulk, because I like it to be automated, because when I have to think about it, I will always find something else to spend my money on. Because even though I'm, a financial advisor, I find investing boring, but I know that it gives me what I want in retirement, and it's about building passive wealth. So whilst I know it's not the most sexiest thing, I know it's the best thing for me. And it was interesting because around the conversation that we were having around the lunch table at work here the other day about me having little heart palpitations about having to buy my nappy sand at full price. The thing that we said, we were talking about meals, and I was saying about how my oven had the night before not switched off when it got to a temperature, and my lovely dinner was black when I pulled it out. We were talking about greens. Now, I don't love greens. I eat greens because I know I need them for my health. I never crave greens. I crave pasta and rice and all those sorts of things. But every night I dish up greens, or they're in the cooking, because I also know that my health relies on me having a healthy diet. So the investing for me is the same. I don't find it sexy. I don't love it, but I know I need to do. I love the result that I get from investing, and I love the life that it's going to give me later. So I have it all automated. It's just a small investment very regularly. I don't try to beat the market, although if the market drops, I'll go and buy shares. But you're trying to beat the market, all you do is create anxiety, and that's not what it should be. So following the money and dealing with money is all around your money mindset as well, because when you look at how you think and feel around money, that will give you whether you've got control over it. And budgeting and creating your bank accounts to have control over money gives you the power to know that you're in charge. And that is a great way to change your mindset about money. So if you're a person that just goes, I'm never going to have any money. Money will always elude me. I live paycheck to paycheck and I'm never going to break that cycle. That's partly because of your money mindset, because you don't know how to control something if you don't have control over it. And so creating your 6 bank accounts and finding out where you spend your money and creating budgets will give you that control and give you that power that you know how to control money, and therefore you'll take a different approach to it. And in all the social posts and things that we've ever done, or when I put blogs out or emails to clients about my 6 bank account system, people put a comment up there that, I wish I had enough money to worry about 6 bank accounts, or, oh yeah, when I get my money under control, I'll start to put money into 6 bank accounts. And it is the mindset that banking and the number of accounts you have is connected to how much money you have. And that's not the case. People that have money doesn't mean they have good control over their money. And the reality is people on low incomes have a harder time with money because essentials and things that you buy does not depend on your wealth. And by that, what I mean is that yes, people with money will pay more for clothes than what somebody without money does. People with money might tend to have more of the nights out than people with no money. People with money may have more expensive jewelry or more expensive handbags and things like that. But when it comes to telephone accounts, internet accounts, electricity, the basic food items, 2 litres of milk costs the same for somebody that doesn't have great wealth to somebody who does have great wealth. And so the idea of the 6 bank accounts is to give control over the money. So you still have the same amount of money to spend, whether it's in 1 bank account or 6 bank accounts. But the problem is when it's in 1 bank account, it's like when you go shopping with money in your wallet, you're always going to spend what's there. We will always spend whatever it is that we have, whether that be time. Now, we've all seen that. We always say, if you want something done, get somebody busy to do it because they've got to squash it in and they'll get it done. Money is the same. If you allow it to do what it wants to do, you will overspend. So the idea behind the 6 bank accounts and following the money is more for people that don't have great wealth than people that do have great wealth, because people with great wealth will always find money to invest because there's only so much money you can spend every day. Now, yes, they may spend more on a car, but once you've got a car, you don't replace it next year. Most people have cars for years and years. Yes, they will spend more on a holiday, but we can only do so many holidays a year. On a week-to-week basis, people that have wealth will have more money left over and therefore can invest or do something else with their money. It is people that have the struggle on the week-to-week basis that need to track where their spending is going, need to put changes in place to get control of their money and reduce what they spend, because the magic bullet comes with spending less. We can all go and get a higher paying job. We can all go and get a second job, but who has time? Particularly if you've got young family, the demands on your time doesn't give you time to go and find that side hustle or a second job. And you don't want to get to your kids are leaving home and all of a sudden you go, working a full-time job and then working a second job, I never saw them. You can't buy your time back with your family. You can make changes to where you're spending your money to get more money so that you don't have to go and get that second job or the side hustle or all those other things. So I want to bust the myth that 6 bank accounts is only for people with money. It is more relevant for people who struggle week to week, because if you put money aside into an emergency fund, you're not relying on credit, buy now, pay laters, or those, wallet wizards or whatever they're called, the short-term lending, which always come with a high interest rate. So you're not relying on that when the fridge breaks down or the car needs new tires or whatever it is. Emergencies are something that is always going to happen because they happen, they're life. So you need to be prepared for them and you need to be ready. in a savings account to do that. Having money aside for the bills when they come in is important as well, because then you don't have the debt collectors chasing you. You're not using credit cards to pay for bills and things like that. So if you haven't looked at my 6 bank accounts, can I suggest that you probably do? All it is doing is dividing up the money that's in one bank account into 6 accounts for all different purposes. Because if you've only got so much money to spend in your spending account, so the one that goes from payday to payday, you will find ways to do it. And it's very similar to what people say in business. You can always cut your expenses. It's really hard to find new customers. So you need to do that with your own bank account systems. It's about also setting goals. Goal setting will always keep you on track. And remember, your goals always need to be SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. I always have to remember that because I always forget one of them. So that's about, I want to be able to cut my spending by $200. And if you can do that, you have something that's measurable, something that's achievable if you put a budget in place. And one of the challenges that we do with our clients is we say to them, if I can find you $10,000 a year, what would that do to your life? And it's not as hard as you think, because when you think $10,000, most people go, how am I supposed to find $10,000? If you can break that down, and it doesn't have to be $10,000, if you don't have that capacity, make it $5,000. But if you had to save $10,000 a year, that's $833 a month. Now, that all of a sudden doesn't sound so hard. Some people will still struggle. I'm not saying everybody can do that, but at least you've got to give it a red hot crack. $833 in a month is just under $200 a week because, of course, 12 times 4 weeks is only 48. So every quarter you get another week. So it's about $200 a week. Most people, when I work with them, we can easily find some savings on your groceries by, as I said, buying your non-perishables at half price, looking at ways to cut your electricity bills by changing suppliers, looking at your insurances when they fall due, looking at who your internet provider is. Start to look at ways that you can find savings. And I've got a great little sheet inside our course where we start to track all of these sorts of things. So, of course, this is what I do inside our courses here at jenrichardson.co. If you jump onto our website, My Money Makeover is the one where we go through all of this and look at how you do it. So automating your finances, as I said, is the key to not taking a chance. So your bills come out automatically when they have to. You automatically invest if you've got the money. You automatically transfer the day after your payday into your other 5 accounts. And we cover all that off in My Money Makeover. Long-term planning gives you something to work towards. And we all know that when we're trying to achieve goals, as humans, we love that. And I never want people to be, we always say, everything breaks up into quadrants in business and in personal finance. And so the quadrants are how comfortable you are and how much time you have. And so you never want to be in quadrant 4. And that's where it is time critical and urgent. And so that's where you go, the bill's due next week and I haven't got the money. What am I going to do? And that's when you turn to those short-term lending and you decrease your wealth. So keep in mind that there is no such thing as a silver bullet and no such thing as a magic wand, as much as I would love to say that there is. But the magic wand comes with a hard work from you, looking at where you're spending. So download our Show Me the Money dashboard and you'll find that on our website, jenrichardson.co. And keep in mind that roadblocks are going to happen. So things are going to come up that potentially could derail you. If you have all these bank accounts set up, the derailment will not be as severe. You will still have times, don't get me wrong, you will still have times where you will think to yourself, oh my God, Everything's just coming at once. So keep in mind the banking system that will set up the automation so you know how much you've got to spend. And then you can start to get control of your money and you will have I've got this. I've got it, Jen. I can do this. And so many people that I work with get that after they start to put this automated banking system in place and starting to follow the money. Now, if you don't want to do my courses, that's fine. I'm not pushing you towards doing the course, but download the Show Me the Money dashboard and track where you're spending and try to put things in place to cut your spending. But be careful. A lot of people that I see when we cut their spending, they just spend it somewhere else. Make sure you direct that money to something, whether it be building your wealth, getting your emergency fund, doing anything, but don't let it just become part of general revenue. And the tax cuts that we have in Australia coming up on the 1st of July, I had this discussion with one of my boys the other day. He's saving for a deposit on a house and he's saving as hard as anything. And I said to him, and I did the calculations and I worked out how much extra he's going to get each week when the tax cuts come in on the 1st of July. And I said to him, he has his automated savings coming out of his bank account to his high interest account for his house deposit. And then he has a second one that he's saving to go overseas. And I said to him, I think it was $90 a week. I think, anyway, it doesn't matter what the figure was. I said to him, change your saving direct debit to pick that up, because I said to him, you're used to X amount of dollars being in your bank account to spend. You need to redirect that tax savings that's going to come in on a weekly basis to your long-term saving account, because that's where he's saving for the deposit on his house. And I remember him saying to me at the time, oh, it's such a small amount. Is it really going to matter? And I said to him, it's $1,500 a year. Put your interest on top of that. And really, that's probably, I don't know, let's say $1,500, $1,800 a year with interest. It's $1,800 a year that you didn't have before that you now do have in your savings. And you were living quite comfortably without that $1,500 anyway. So all you're going to do is waste it if you don't direct it to your long-term savings. So he jumped in straight away and he's got it automated. And so he just went, I can probably do that now. And so what he's doing now is he's actually increased his automated savings by that small amount that will kick in after the 1st of July, because he's got a few things on in the next 6 weeks where he knows he's not going to spend any money. And he said, then I'll still feel like I'm getting a pay rise in July. Now, that's okay for him because he lives at home. He doesn't pay board because he's saving for a deposit on a house. And he also doesn't spend a lot. He plays reasonably high-level football. So in football season, he doesn't drink. So he's not going out spending money on alcohol and things like that. He doesn't gamble. So he hasn't got a lot to spend his money on. So it was very easy for him to do that and put that change in place. So that is what I'm meaning by finding where your money goes so that you can put changes in place that don't impact you. So that's it for today. I hope that has helped you a little bit on how you can get control of your money and your finance. Remember, our podcasts are now broken up into the two. So if you're here and you only want the personal advice, I'll see you next Thursday. If you're here because you want to get control of your business and improve your business life, I'll see you next Tuesday. So have a lovely week. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you get notifications when we drop our next podcast. And of course, if you know anybody that needs any help with their finances, please send them my way and we can help them improve their life as well. So have a lovely week and I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Remember, the advice shared in Dollars and Dreams is general in nature and it does not consider your own personal circumstances. Dollars and Dreams is for educational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make investment or financial decisions. If you need more help, please reach out to a financial advisor for tailored personal advice. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content. And please leave me a review. Your feedback really helps me to reach other people chasing their money dreams. You can find me over on Facebook and Instagram to connect with me. You will find the link in the bio or head over to my website at jenrichardson.co where you will find free content and learning tools.